Ready.
Okay, here we go. Today is April 4th, 2024, and this is the Trails and Greenways Committee, and we're going to call it to order. Sorry, I never get to use the gavel. Roll call. So Terry McCarthy.
Here.
Mark Carr.
Here.
John Custer.
Here.
Joe Falcon.
Here.
And Evan Pappas.
Here.
Okay, not here is Joe Kasuska. Anthony DeVincenzo, he is stuck in traffic along with Dalia. So they are both independently stuck in traffic. Anthony is hoping to make it. And now we have the moment of silence. And if you can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation. Okay. Everyone got a chance to look over the minutes from last meeting? Any? Oh, the agenda first, because I am following directions, right? Let's approve the agenda. Has everyone got a chance to look over the agenda for this meeting? Any additions, changes you guys want to make? Anyone want a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Okay, so John motion first. Do you want a second, Evan? Second by Evan. And let's go ahead and vote. Everyone in favor of approving the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Oh, cool. Okay. Now let's look at the minutes from March's meeting. Anything?
To comment?
No, there's no public here to comment, but yes, public comment, no one is here for that. And we're not.
So
taking any-
we're just going to make note for the record that there was no public in attendance.
I seem to just really want to get to approving the minutes.
Yeah, you really want to get those minutes approved.
Okay, so let's, no public is here for comment. We're not taking anything from the
No.
chat, Zoom or whatever is happening there. So then it's the minutes from March 7th. Anyone interested in motioning to approve those or have any changes they would like to change, have made? Okay, Evan moves. Anyone second?
Second.
No seconds. Everyone that's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope, so they have been approved. For 7.1, it says staff update, and I'm assuming that's referring to your guys' staff.
That is, and I'm going to let George talk a little bit about what they've been doing from the public works side, and then I'll talk about a few other things.
Sure. Yeah. So during the last month, just to bring the committee up to date on some of our maintenance activities, Public Works generally, once the spring hits, tries to visit each one of the parks and each one of the trails at least 3 times a week. We haven't geared up that far yet. We've been about 2 times a week, but we've been checking for maintenance, any issues, those kind of things. Some of the particular activity that took place over the last month, the water cooler that's going to be installed near the restrooms by Gable Park, which is also where the Bishop Hollow Trail runs through. That water cooler has been ordered. That's going to be installed hopefully within a month. So that's good for this committee to know that that amenity is there near the trail. There were a number of tree removals that had to take place by the Bishop Hollow Trail. The township arborist had identified a number of the pine trees that run in between where the ball field is and up to the Little League fields. So Public Works has taken those pine trees down. The stumps have been ground, and the arborist had recommended that we replant that particular area with dogwoods, which we are gearing up to do. So they'll be replanting along the trail going on there. We are also, one of the capital projects that'll be taking place this season is at Drexel Lodge Park, the upper pond walkway, the bridge going over the upper pond is going to be resurfaced. So that's a project that we've been working and getting ready to do. That'll be coming up this season. Finally, the street sweeper's out, and one of the things that we concentrate when the street sweeper's out is making sure that any bike lanes and any areas where we know there's regular bicycle activity get swept with even greater frequency than just going through the town and sweeping all the streets. So we've already started that, and as a general rule, we will regularly be hitting the areas where there's bicycles present. And that is our report.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm sorry if this isn't our
Is your
responsibility.
mic on?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. There's a lot of reverberation
Yeah.
here, yeah. Since Goshen is a state, I guess, street, I don't know if it pertains to us, but I noticed that all the way down, there's been some cutouts on the side of the street. Do you know what that's for or what that's about?
I know that PennDOT has done that on all state roads, not just Goshen Road. I do not know why they did that.
Thanks.
George, the street sweeper that you were talking about, that did Goshen Road as well. It's incredible how much wider those shoulders look after they get cleaned up. There's some areas where, you've got room for optimism for some more infrastructure there in terms of, bikes or pedestrian paths. And there's other areas where it really shows, even now that it's been cleaned up, how really narrow it is, especially between the school and Earl's Lane. I think it's one of the narrowest stretches of that road.
Thank you. It is amazing how much encroaches on the road over time. And it's nice during the spring and summer when we're able to be out regularly with the street sweeper and keeping that clean. It's a shame we can't do it all year. Unfortunately, the street sweeper does use water, so it can't be used during the winter time. And then we don't use it during leaf collection season because we're collecting leaves and there's lots of leaves that get on the street. But thank you for that.
Yep. And then one more compliment for you, I think, is the raised crosswalk on Ellis is fantastic. That's great there. I'm really happy to see that.
I don't know, Steve.
Yeah, I was actually going to comment just on that, we, if you recall, we went out for the grant that to do the entire loop from leaving here, going up the sidewalk, which would take us up to Campus Boulevard, down Campus Boulevard, through Drexel Lodge Park, out the back, and then come back and then up Ellis Avenue. And then when we got the grant, we got a much smaller amount. And so we focused on Ellis Avenue because that was a good number. For that actually came in less than what we thought. That grant was for $650, and we ended up spending, I think, just shy of about 300,000 on that project. And so, and I don't think it's completed yet. I think there's a few things that still need to be done. There's still a trail connection for where that raised crosswalk is. And a few more things that still need to be finished up. So that'll get done there. We have applied to the state to extend the grant period. They have agreed. And so we're going to try to get a bid in this year to complete the sidewalk that goes halfway up here on Bishop Hollow that would connect it all the way out to Campus Boulevard. So, and actually I think, and back, if there's enough money to connect it back to where the trail, the Bishop Hollow Trail ends, which is kind of in between what's 335 Bishop Hollow and 7 Campus Boulevard. So
From the ball fields down to Campus Boulevard, basically.
yes, yeah, the sidewalk, I think, stops at the second driveway.
Yep.
Or somewhere in that area. This would just continue the sidewalk the rest of the way down. And then take the sidewalk or some type of trail back to the trail where it starts at Campus Boulevard that goes in between those two buildings, the first two buildings to your right, and then which works its way all the way back to the raised crosswalk that you talked about, and then it comes back out and dead ends out here at the sidewalk along Bishop Hollow. So that would create a full loop that we want, that would do that kind of that inner loop. And then we're still working for funding and working on getting funding to do the rest of that. We also are in the process of working with the Toll Brothers group related to the Listener Trail. That trail has not been fully dedicated to the township at this point. I know George's team is doing some review out there still, making sure that it's at a level that we can take it. And then we will take the easement and possession and responsibility of maintaining that going forward. When we do, we have agreed to put in some dog waste stations as well as some people trash stations that the township will then maintain and pick up along there. The folks at Listener are anxiously awaiting for us to do that. I guess some people are not being conscious of their dogs leaving deposits. And so we would hope that people would be, understand that we have an easement, but we have to maintain it. And it's important that along any of our trails, if you have an animal that you're walking along the trail, it would be helpful if you cleaned up after any deposits that they leave along the way, at least the solid ones. So those were the updates that I wanted to give you as well.
Out of curiosity, the sidewalk that you were talking about, obviously we were talking about doing down Ellis Avenue, then down Westchester Pike, all the way to Drexel Lodge, and then up Campus Boulevard. We don't have enough money.
Actually, we are looking at the potential of coming across the backside potentially of, I think it's considered MGOF.
Okay, the driving range over there.
So coming actually out of Drexel Lodge, not having people actually on Westchester Pike.
Okay.
Because there's not a really good place to go back there and put a sidewalk at this point. There is sidewalk from like the CVS going forward. If we could come back out in daylight near that, that's what we would like to do.
And assuming potential development on Campus Boulevard will kind of put townships, or like a pause on the township's plans to possibly do a sidewalk down Campus Boulevard to see what development is and what we could ask them to do.
Yeah, I think it would a little bit would depend on what we get as a grant.
Okay.
You know, we have applied for a grant. I think we applied for 2 million. Is that right? Something like that. Roughly 2 million to complete down along campus. I think if we got the grant, we would probably do that. And then I would do like I've done a couple other places and ask for people to give fee in lieu of kind of things. Or like if we already have it in, let's get a fee in lieu of them, then we can put it someplace else.
Okay, thank you.
That would be the plan.
Any other questions about all that? Okay, cool. Then let's move on to new business 8.1, the e-bike subcommittee. You guys had your first meeting and there's a recap possibly.
Goes your mic on?
2 weeks ago, we had a meeting and we wanted to sort of go over the structure, of what we're looking at, right? So we had a bunch of ideas and we were like, well, let's research what other people are doing. And this community is different. So it's made up of the individuals that are part of the township, property owners, taxpayers, tenants, whatever it may be, or people that come to use our trails. What do they know? So what we did was I've already drafted a survey that we'll bring it, I think, to the next meeting to approve that. And the idea here is to have a survey that goes out. I don't know exactly how we do that, either by email, whatever, or we have a survey that's on the website, but that survey would ask a number of questions. And in particular, start narrowing down if they are concerned about people using e-bikes. Have they had problems with people using e-bikes? What are those concerns? If there are concerns, so we'll gather a bunch of information and data, and that should structure, where we go with this e-bike issue. If there's even an ordinance that needs to be required, or what we want to listen to what the people have to say about it first. So that's sort of where we're at. And
There's no issues
guess
with us doing.
one of the
surveys.
questions we had, that was one of the things that we had was from obviously I think that would have to go through the township solicitor.
Yeah, I think what we would want to do is I would want this group to come up with their proposal of what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then I would suggest that we present it to the board, get the Board of Supervisors buy-in. And then make sure they don't have any changes that they would want to see to it or any way that they would want to see it go out.
Logistically though, do we need to have this committee, don't we have to approve it first before it goes?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, when I was meaning, that's what I was meaning
Okay.
with this group.
Yeah,
I was meaning this group would approve it and then go do a presentation to the board of what you're looking to do,
Mhm.
which I think is a great idea. Then they may suggest a couple of changes, or they may say, this is great, just go forward. And then we could talk about methods of getting the survey out. In the past, we have done surveys through social media. We've done through surveys through email. We've also done surveys that we've mailed out. And so I guess the question is, how big of an audience do we want to try to get? And how we want to respond. And so, so we can look at that and make a decision as you get your survey put together. If I'll look at how many questions it is, and then I'll kind of help guide what I think is makes the most sense. The longer it is, the more I think you probably want to move away from like a social media. You don't tend to get as many responses if it gets really long on social media. You do better either with an email or a mail kind of thing.
so that's where we are.
Thank you. Do you have any plans for future, in the next meeting, or you guys still working on that?
Well, so the small group that we have, 3, I have a draft out of the survey.
Okay,
And then if we like that or we make revisions, we'll bring it to you next month. And I think Anthony already said, we're gonna try and put that on the agenda to discuss that.
thank you.
Mhm.
And just to note, Delia got here around 5:40, so she's.
I have that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome. Nice to see you. But
Oh, yeah.
that's where Anthony is too. He's stuck there. Okay, let's move on to, well, actually 8.2, it was the zoning review committee that was supposed to be Joe, who is out. I heard, just talking to Anthony real quick before I came here, he said that Joe had reached out to the zoning person
So
and,
Beth, I can help you out with
oh,
that.
you know what's going, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, go for it.
So we had a back and forth with with Anthony, was it Resnick? Andy, sorry, Andy Resnick. So we had a back and forth with email a little bit. I think he's interested in helping us write proposed ordinance changes, but I don't think he's interested in coming up with ideas. So I think meeting with him is not really gonna make sense from what our correspondence so far. So we're waiting for John's health to recover a little bit before meeting, hopefully next month.
Thank you. Okay, and then we'll move on to 8.3, updates and possible action for trail walks and events. Harry, what you got over there?
Hey, so we know that, let me, how to turn this on. Excuse me. We had that rain out. That has been rescheduled for May. That will coincide with the bird walk. So at Garrett Williamson, we're talking about here. The bird walk will occur at 8 a.m. and then we're going to have Trails and Greenways walks at 10 a.m. That's Saturday, May 11th. We're looking for people who can help be either the leader or the sweep. And then subsequently, there will be probably a little reception in the Ram Barn, to go back and enjoy looking out over the sheep and the goats and all that good stuff. But that's where we are with the cancellation. So you're all welcome to do this. I haven't posted it yet because I'm really right now managing another event, which is April 13th. That's our walk and a plein air event, April 13th at the Quaker Meeting House. So it starts at 10 with the plein air event. That goes from 10 to 2. Then the trail walk starts at the 1742 Tavern, and that starts at 1 p.m. We will walk down Goshen Trail, then back up and then go to the Quaker Meeting House. So we'll probably arrive at the Quaker Meeting House about 2 p.m. And then there will be a historic lecture by Lisa Rudolph, is it, John?
Yeah.
Okay, about, his name I'm blanking on. The historic guy, Quaker guy, she's going to speak about. Do you remember his name?
Who?
The guy that Lisa is going to talk about with her PowerPoint.
Oh,
I don't
not
remember his
sure
name.
who you mean here.
Yeah, it's the guy. He's a very prominent figure who was instrumental in doing a lot of the foundation of Newtown Square. And so he was a member of the Quaker Meeting House. I think he's one of her ancestors. So she's going to do a 2 o'clock PowerPoint in the meeting house. So right now we have different places where people have signed up. We have artists signed up to do the plein air. They're going to sit out in the cemetery, which is really cool place. The Dunwoodies are buried there and all sorts of people. So it's beautiful, hope for good weather. And then they're going to look back towards the Quaker Meeting House. That 4-hour event will entail them going into the meeting house and eating lunch there. They bring their lunch. They do this all the time. Then all these walkers, after we're getting up there, they get to meet the artists too and look at what they're doing and maybe buy one if they want to. So it's a nice network between the Historical Society, the Quaker Meeting House, Trails and Greenways. And that I hope you can come. We've got, about 25 solid people so far signed up for, this is in 2 weeks on Saturday, the 13th. And that's where we are right now.
And of course, I'm sure you always would be happy to have extra people helping out, particularly for the Garrett Williamson one. I know
Yeah.
Giselle is moving on and she always was leading some of the walks there. So not having a person that knows the trails well would be nice to have an extra person at Garrett Williamson.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in learning about that environment, I'm going to ask them, which I also wanted to ask here. Since people come and go, maybe we should have a script for each one of the trails. Like if you're going to walk Goshen Trail and you're supposed to lead it, you've never done it before, here's a script on the highlights of the trail. And one for Drexel and one for the Meadows and we can do one for Garrett Williamson, although they have multiple trails, but it would assist all of us in our, sounding a little more intelligent about our township.
And particularly for the township trails, we could put that on the website so that somebody who may just be walking it and not with the group would be also able to kind of know what the script is as they're walking
Right.
along.
And you could do an audio file, or you could AI it and have a little, virtual person describing it. I'm jumping around, sorry, but I'm really looking forward to the April 13th one. I hope you all can stop in or help with the walk. And Kathy Cavalier has been incredibly supportive as well. So she's opening up the tavern and whatever.
Just confirming that's a 1 o'clock start for the walk.
That is correct.
And, okay.
So you don't have to do anything with the artists. I'll take care of opening up, the Quaker Meeting House, and we'll put flowers around and make it pretty, and it'll be good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And then we have Bike to Work Day listed on there, May 17th. And I didn't know if you guys had any updates on that one.
I don't have any updates at this point. I mean, everything's moving forward. They will confirm with me where they're going to start.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll have that answer over here shortly. They have a couple options, and so I haven't heard the latest. I probably will hear tomorrow. I'm meeting with the DC TMA tomorrow, and I'll probably get more information at that time.
Thank you.
May I ask one more legal question? Did our attorney get involved at all yet to give us that?
I've asked him again, and it's on his list of to-dos. I will follow back up. I know he and I talked about it briefly, and my guess is a couple other things got put on his plate, and my guess is this one just got kind of forgotten about. I'll bring it back up.
Thank you.
And just an update, it's not necessarily new business, it's more old business. We had talked a little while ago about possibly doing something over along Gable Field, the trail that goes up towards the playground, because there was some issues over there. Yesterday, a handful of us went out in the rain and saw some of the flooding issues in the area. If anyone is interested in knowing the trail that we're talking about in that zone, I'm happy to go there after this meeting and show you guys. That's it. And George, I didn't know if you had anything else to add about that, or kind of. That's
No,
about it for now.
Yeah, thank you, Beth. I mean, it was a great meeting, even if it was in the rain. It was a start. If you remember a few months ago, we brought to the Trails and Greenways Committee the concept of addressing this essentially trailhead area, which goes past the Gable Field ball field and then connects with the Bishop Hollow Trail back behind the Public Works building. And it's an area that the Environmental Advisory Council would have interest in, from the possibility of like a demonstration rain garden or some other environmental teaching opportunities. Parks and Rec originally brought it up as an idea to try to do something to dress the area up and guide people back to where there's a playground, and again, where you could get the trail, and then bringing Trails and Greenways, so that one or two people from each of those committees would work together on a concept of what this little area that's kind of a mishmash and full of signs and has flooding issues and all that, what it can be, so that maybe in 2025, looking at next year, getting some grants, what can we do to really dress it up and have all three committees have their stamp on it, have it be a great entree into a trail, have it be a great entree into a park, and have some demonstration environmental opportunities with it. So it was a great first meeting, even in the rain. And thank you, Beth, for that, and Wade and Sheila for working on it.
Yeah, thank you for doing what you're doing. So like I said, if anyone's interested, wants to see where it's at, I'm happy to walk over there after this. It's just on the other side of the building. And then that brings us to the official old business, 9.1, and it's the review of the open space network. And I'll break it open here. So this section that Anthony had picked out was on trail benefits. And so it is page 55 of the plan. But some of the big things, obviously, we know walking 20 minutes a day helps lower your blood pressure, lowers your risk of early death, heart disease, diabetes, stroke. Like, walking is good for you. We all know that. Spending out time outdoors improves your cognitive reasoning by possibly 50%. It's not on here, but I know some studies say if you have ADHD or anything like that, spending time outdoors helps to kind of quell that and get you more focused. One thing that he kind of wanted me to focus a little bit on was trails and properties. We get a lot of, I don't want that in my backyard, and oh, all those people are going to be there. But there's evidence that shows that trails can actually increase your property value. And this at the time said $9 per foot. I'm sure it has probably gone up since then, but a lot of those people, oh, this is going to destroy my property value. It's going to do the exact opposite. It's going to make it better. On top of that, outdoor recreation adds $730 billion and 6.5 million jobs to the US economy. So it is a huge boost to the economy. Just even people accessing some of the local trails, they're going to stop at the coffee shop or wherever and spend money. They're going to buy gas in the township. So they are putting money into the local economy. There's a little factoid here that said 50% of recreational cyclists earn more than $100,000. The typical cycling tour spends $60 a day. And again, this is several years old, so the amount they're spending a day, I'm sure, has increased. So those bike trails are bringing in money, even if it's just people, biking back and forth to work. They're coming through town. They're going to spend money. So economically, it does have a boost to the township. I think that's it. I think we just cruised through all of that.
While we're talking about
Anthony,
the-
go on.
Can I ask,
I'm sorry.
while we're talking about the open space network plan?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about the Pico Trail, the one, which one? I think we were calling it the Pico Trail at some point. Yeah, the one between,
The rail trail?
yeah,
Okay.
Brookside Park and Greer Park.
Yeah,
Has there been any news on that or?
yeah, at this point, I know there's some interest to move forward. There's also some issues. We would for sure at this point have to go outside of the Pico easement if we were going to do that trail. And so we're trying to go after some lower hanging fruit if from the township's perspective right now, focusing on a couple other connections that we think that have a higher chance of probability and that we might be able to do something about more quickly.
It's interesting that you phrased it that way because that was the highest rated one in the report. And
Yeah.
I guess it turns out there was more issues than anticipated.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges, you know, there's always the desire for something and it became very clear that we were to go forward would probably be very challenging. And I mean, the township took some steps to move in that direction. It just would have been very challenging to go forward.
Sure. I remember hearing a lot of that.
Potential some legal issues that were more, I think, than what the benefit, if we were going to spend those kind of dollars trying to make something happen, I think we decided that it would be better to try to focus on something that is more likely to happen, if that makes sense.
Understood. And then the other question I had, again, about the open space network plan, on the trail recommendations page, there are several planned bike routes noted on the plan. Did they mean planned by the people that wrote this report, by Gilmore, or were they planned in advance? Like Westchester Pike and 252 show planned bike routes. Do these plans actually exist, or what do they mean by planned bike routes?
I believe the Westchester Pike, there's a section that was on, and I'm a little bit fuzzy on this, and so I may not be exactly right. My understanding, there is a biking group that was looking for a bike route along Westchester Pike. I'm not 100% sure where it went to and where it ended. George, do you know any more about
No,
that?
but I think you're correct.
Yeah, and then the same thing is true on 252. I believe it's on the north side of 252. There's a section of a bike trail. I know it's if you go on certain biking, I don't know what they call them, but biking websites, I guess, for this area, they list that area as a bike route, but I don't think it's a formal, there's not a formal like bike lane or anything there.
Sure, I just wanted to clarify what planned meant.
I believe that's the two plans they're referring to. And I can't remember now the exact groups that had like thoughts towards that, but I know it's one of the biking groups. Yeah.
Like making them formal.
Oh, yeah, and Gilmore's thought was to make them a formal, as part of almost similar to what you see on Campus Boulevard.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, in the report, it just says these planned trails and bike routes, these alignments were identified in past township and county plans as routes desired and supported by the public and are carried forward by this plan.
Right, I didn't know, I wondered what
Yeah.
plan meant.
Yeah,
so
they're actually doing
There's
something.
no real plan, it's just, we'd like bike trails here,
Yeah.
but there's no plan, so, okay.
Yeah.
I understand. I got one last one, and I'll be quiet. There was a pedestrian struck on 252 last week near Gentili's. Sure, do you know any details about what happened?
now, I've not seen the police report on that either.
Okay, all right.
Hmm.
That's one of our missions is, I mean, who knows what I have no idea what happened. I'm just curious because I heard about it and, obviously.
Yeah, so I would say whenever the police respond to an incident, If there's something that was concerning that they need the township or public works or somebody to address, they absolutely make sure that we get the report. If it's something that happened that maybe was, no infrastructure issue,
Right.
no, they haven't
Nothing
always
to do with
forwarded
that,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I will ask the chief of police if I could see that report if it's permissible for me to look at it, to see if there's anything that we need to be cognizant of.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And just so you know, when we did the walkthrough with some of the county folks last month, that was something that Anthony and I had both mentioned, because they were like, what other sections of road are problematic? And we were talking about 252 being another section for that. I don't know if you guys, because you guys did the walk the next day, if you had a similar conversation or not about 252, but.
We did, maybe even a little bit more in depth. We talked quite a bit about the challenges of that walking area, and even the challenges. We felt we could probably, you might be able to get a sidewalk partway, going towards the south, section from Route 3. But once you really get past Gentili's, going down around the curve, there is very little opportunity to have a safe pedestrian spot at the way that's currently set. It would take significant engineering, significant changes to do that. And we talked about that. We think there's some other opportunities that would probably provide a safer method of getting to that location, if we were to do so.
And to adjourn the meeting.
And here comes Anthony. We've kind of got through.
We're done.
I know, but I told you I wasn't gonna stop until I ran through every bit of traffic, so it
We
was not fun.
just talked about the benefits of the trail connections, and then Evan was asking a few questions about the plan as a whole. Anything you want to jump in on?
No, I mean, I appreciate, sorry, I got caught up with emergency work today and then it was not fun getting through the city for sure. I know Delia texted me and I was like, yeah, I'm stuck too. It was worse today than it was yesterday, driving in all the flooding. I don't know how. No.
Okay, I was just gonna ask if anyone had anything they wanted to put on the agenda for next month.
I'd like to know what's, I noticed there's a different entrance to that walkway that goes back to the meadows off of 252. It looks like there's a new fence there or something. Am I wrong? I just drove by and I was like, oh, that looks kind of good. Near Episcopal, that.
Driveway?
Pardon me?
You're talking about where the drive exit is?
Yeah. If you came out of Episcopal and turned right, and then there's that little road that
Yeah.
we would go in, it looks different to me. Did they do something there or what's cooking?
Well, if they have, I'm looking at George, and by the look on George's face, and the look on my face, we're both unaware. One of the two of us will try to drive up there tomorrow and take a look. I know George comes in that way, I think in the
Yeah.
morning. So I'm sure George will at least tell me, yeah, you need to go take a look, or, but we'll take a look and see. I'm not aware of anything that had happened at that location. I
It's
know
not
they
a
were.
big metal gate with a punch pad, is it?
I do know that they were doing they were gonna do some removal of some of the vegetation.
Mhm.
Because it was blocking the line of sight. And that may have been what it was, but I had not seen that having been done yet.
Yeah, I'll go look.
Yeah, we'll look and we'll see. Yeah, I was gonna say, we may have to go back during the day, during the daylight hours.
Okay.
I think a lot of these discussions might be improved by having like a map on screen. Can we do that, or are we not allowed to do that?
We can, I mean, if we know ahead of time of what you're looking for,
Okay,
it's a little bit easier. I mean, we could pull up like a Google map if
that's
that's
what I
all
mean.
you.
Yeah, that's all I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do that.
Just for like the context of knowing what specific part of the township we're talking about or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
we can do that. We'll work on having that set up for in the future.
And I do have some like table size printouts of the maps from this that I could bring into if that's helpful.
I'm looking at Google Maps right now. I just, for the benefit of everybody, just to look at, we're all looking at the same thing and talking about it together.
Okay. Did you have anything for the agenda?
No, thank you very much for, I know we talked before and I appreciate you being able to cover everything. No, I mean, I don't know if there was anything major brought up. I know Joe probably covered the e-bike
Yeah.
stuff. That was, I think we had a really good first conversation about that. Did anyone check in with Joe Kasu? Sorry, I'm not on
No.
mic. Did anyone check in with Joe?
He was ill.
He was ill?
And
Okay,
Haven't filled us in on what was going on with
perfect. Thank you.
that. Okay, well then, another opportunity for public comment. There's no one here to comment, so we can move on from that. And then number 11 is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Moved by Terry, is there a second?
Second.
Anthony says, let's get out of here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope, we're out of here.
Thank you.